Right, welcome into the locker room on a Monday morning here on the Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. We love sports as well. And it's a brand new day and a brand new week to talk about what's been going down in the world of sports over the weekend. A lot of sporting action on the agenda, and we'll be talking about that and so much more. My name is Ayokunmi. Welcome into the first installment for this week, and it's a mixed bag, of course, talking Super Eagles, but I'll leave that for now. We'll jump into that one. And you know that I'm not going to be having this conversation alone. In fact, I'm happy I'm not because, company is definitely needed. I'm being joined by the one and the only Tega, 4-pack Supreme. Tega, good morning to you.
Good morning. The 4-pack has disappeared. The 4-pack is doing me like a robot demon. It shows up in private and it disappears in public. I don't understand what's happening. All right. But yes, good morning to everybody. It was a bloody Sunday, especially if you're Nigerian. And if you're me, it was twice as double because I was beaten in tennis, I was beaten in basketball, and then I was beaten by the Super Eagles. All right, we'll talk about all that and more inside the locker room this morning. We'll also talk about all the problems that Gattuso is going through and all the goodness of Erling Haaland. All right, we'll touch on that a little bit this morning. CAF awards, the lists have come out. Some people agree, some people don't agree, but the list has come out. All right, we'll touch a little bit on that. So all of that and more coming up inside the locker room this morning. But before we do any talking, please, and I need people to contribute as much as possible because this is a therapy session even for me.
Right.
I know.
Right.
You say when journalists come on air, they should be professional. Journalists can also be Nigerians, all right? So today I don't know which one will come up, but we will need you to come up into the locker room this morning and tell us your thoughts. Give us your objective thoughts. Give us your emotional thoughts, whatever thoughts you have on the Super Eagles performance. We want to talk about it in the locker room this morning. So, Ayokunmi, tell them how they can be a part of the locker room today.
All right, you can join us in the locker room today. We're all sitting down in a circle, holding hands and singing Kumbaya. The number is 0911-999-0981. 0911-999-0981. Also, leave your comments on YouTube at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. And I will say that, please, I know that emotions could be running high, so let's be mindful of the sort of language that, we use. Yes, very, very important. All right.
Yes, very important. Thank you.
That being said, let us talk about what happened in Morocco last night as Nigeria have failed to qualify for the FIFA World Cup for the second successive edition after succumbing to a 4-3 loss on penalties against DR Congo in the Moulay Hassan Stadium last night. Tega.
Right. So, second successive loss, but this one is worse because Africa's slot was increased and Nigeria still didn't make the cut. All right. So I would say this. A lot of people have come out to talk about the NFF and how their incompetencies have led up to this. And whilst I agree that we can point to the incompetencies of the NFF, I also want to say ultimately it was the players that were going to go to the World Cup. This was their victory. This was their CV. And they dropped the ball. Now, some people were arguing that maybe the timing of the strike was wrong because you go to Morocco with one objective in mind, to pick up the ticket to go for the Intercontinental playoff. That's the only objective that should be on your mind. But instead, they went there and skipped a training session because they were striking for allowances. Now, you come up against the match in you come up in the match against DR Congo, scored an early goal, and then coasted. Like I said on Friday, I said these DR Congo boys, they can run for days, and you saw it the difference in the energy levels between the Super Eagles players and the DR Congo guys. Even into extra time, they were still running at us. The Super Eagles, by the 70th minute, all of them looked like they were running on empty. And so you're talking of a completely different athletic level, a completely different stamina. The only thing I think that kept the Super Eagles in that match was really not even the quality of the opposition's attack, but a lot of other factors. Some people will say that even the referee contrived to see Nigeria go to the World Cup because there was nothing that didn't happen for Nigeria to get to the World Cup. And so ultimately, as much as we want to blame the NFF for this failure and say, oh, back-to-back World Cups, football in the country is dying, grassroots football is not developing, all of those things are true. Ultimately, you cannot exclude the players from blame. They failed. This loss was on them. They haven't gone to back-to-back World Cups. This loss was on them. They failed to top a group that had Benin, Rwanda, Lesotho, Zimbabwe, finishing on 17 points. Even the Congo that they were playing against had 25 points.
That says a lot.
They had 5 draws in their group. Then they were afforded another opportunity to get to the World Cup through a longer route. They got into the playoffs. All they had to do was beat Gabon and Congo, teams that are ranked below them in CAF and FIFA ranking. And they still failed to go to World Cup. In that match, Congo put the ball in the back of the net twice and was ruled off for different incidents. One was a foul on the goalkeeper, correctly given. One was a foul on, who was that? Frank Onyeka, also correctly given. But the truth of the matter is, Congo found a way to put the ball in the back of the net where Nigeria didn't. There were too many instances. And so when you look at it, ultimately, the buck stops at the player's desk. You can't even blame Eric Shell, even if you want to question some of his decisions about starting Ademola Lookman and dropping Akko Adams on the bench. Even if you want to look at that, ultimately, the Super Eagles have had 3 different coaches. How many coaches do we have to change before we realize that maybe the problem is not the mechanic? Maybe the problem is the engine of the car. Maybe, just maybe, because we have changed mechanic 3 times and still this team did not make it to the World Cup. So yes, blame the NFF for his part. Yes, blame Eric Shell for his starting lineup again, because I keep asking, what does Chukwueze really do on the Super Eagles team? How is he very different from Boniface? But he started yesterday and didn't do much. Ademola Lookman has not been informed since the last time he became African Footballer of the Year. He still didn't do much. He started, but somehow you bench Akko Adams, who had a good partnership with Victor Osimhen. So, because I always think that the Super Eagles, especially the Super Eagles, as much as we are Osimhen dependent, it's better to play with 2 strikers up front. And so when you have that start, yes, you can blame Eric Shell for that. You can blame him for the subs. But ultimately, the buck stops at the desk of the Super Eagles players. They didn't find a way to get to the World Cup. And this failure is squarely on their shoulders and on their CVs.
Well, what I will say is, talking about this Victor Osimhen dependence, I've actually, I think I alluded to it. Was it last week or thereabout after
Yeah.
the game against was it Gabon? Was it Benin? I can't remember specifically, but that's squarely aside. What I will say is that despite our tag as okay, Giants of Africa, this one, that one, and so on and so forth, looking at what has happened in the last 8 years or thereabouts, let's use the 8-year period. I don't think we're as trumped up as we actually think we are. We're just living on what we used to be. Looking at where we are right now, I'm sorry, we definitely are not good enough.
Exactly.
For the kind of tag that we think we're
You
not.
can't even blame Joshua. Let's talk to Joshua. Joshua, come in here. So remember, Joshua, our intern, is here. Come in here. What do you have to say on the Super Eagles?
I would say that yesterday match, the team that needed it most, they're the ones that won it. And we
Bam.
saw from the first half, after the first half, when they changed, they did a sub and they changed Osimhen. The defenders of Congo, DRC Congo, they are so relaxed. They saw that the new strikers they brought in weren't a threat. So that is to show you that aside Osimhen, we don't have any threats like a striker for multiple striker that can do what Osimhen does. That is it. And it's just so unfortunate that we are out of the qualification.
I don't like the way you say we. I'm going to America. The Super Eagles don't have to be there. All right. I'm going to America. Super Eagles can stay at home and watch me on TV too. But yes, ultimately it came down to that. The team who showed the most hunger, the team who wanted it the most, got it. Because even we, when we complain about Wabali, on the day he saved penalties, your Super Eagles players couldn't score their penalties. And so look, there were too many instances for you to say, oh, let's blame you cannot blame the NFF. For this failure, you will have to blame the people that were on the pitch. Every single one of them. The
I
good
would have
news
to
is
agree
that
with that.
the good news is that they've already collected their dollar in.
All right.
Whilst some Nigerians will be crying about missing out on the World Cup tickets with hunger in their bellies, they have some dollars to hug
Mm.
as they
Well,
as they go back to their clubs with failure.
at least they solved one problem out of two. So there's that.
All right,
Anyways,
let's quickly take tennis and then we'll come back with your messages after the
all
break.
right. Let's talk about what went down in the world of tennis, where Yannick Sinner retained the ATP Finals title on Sunday after beating Carlos Alcaraz and ending a turbulent season with victory over his great rival.
I won't call it a turbulent season. I think it's one of Yannick Sinner's best seasons. Apart from the fact that he went on to win 2 Grand Slams this season, he was able to beat Carlos Alcaraz when it mattered, 2 times when it mattered the most. Once at Wimbledon to get the Wimbledon title, and then this final to defend his ATP final from last year. Also, to make it even a sweeter season, even if he was suspended for doping this season, he was suspended on his own terms. This was such a remarkable season for him, in fact. And yes, not only was he suspended on his own terms, he came back on tour. He beat Carlos Alcaraz to win 6 million in Saudi, and then beat him last night to win 5.2 million. So even when there was money, when money came into the situation, he beat his rival. When there was a Grand Slam title on the table, he still beat his rival. So I would say a pretty remarkable season for him. The only thing that happened differently was that he dropped the number 1 ranking, and that's debatable whether it matters at the end of your career. But for Carlos Alcaraz, it was obviously not a good result. In fact, I remember him at the end of the match, he said, I hope you come back next season and be ready, because I'll be ready. And I'll say this ultimately, if you watch that match, Yannick Sinner didn't do anything brilliant. He was just consistent. Carlos Alcaraz, on the other hand, was the more dominant player. He was the one who got more looks into Yannick Sinner's serves,
Right.
but he made so many errors. So as much as you want to say, oh, Yannick Sinner is one of the great defenders and one of the great returners, there were even points he won that Carlos Alcaraz had moved him out of the place and then went on to hit the ball long or wide. So ultimately, if Carlos Alcaraz, Juan Carlos Ferraro, and Sammy Lopez have any common sense, they'll go back and look at that tape last night, and they can find that half the fault of Carlos Alcaraz's loss was squarely on his shoulders. He was the one who kind of handed the match over to Yannick Sinner. But great news, Yannick Sinner, congratulations to him. It's been a remarkable season for Carlos Alcaraz. We live to fight another day.
Yes, indeed. Live to fight another day. All right, let's take that breather. When we come back in, we'll continue on the trajectory, talking sports. A lot of football to be discussed, that and so much more. Keep it tuned. The locker room here on Smooth 98.1.
Thank you. So, Joshua, I'll be calling you randomly. Once I call you, be ready. I don't like the fact that you were pulling mic when I called you in.
Oh, sorry. Yes, no.
Hot seat, hot seat. That's where we are now. Everybody will play. Everybody will play. So that, yes.
So
So
you can
that
be
yes,
so like
now.
you'll be match fit.
Yes, you'll be match fit. Not the one that they'll call upon you now. You'll be like Tolu Arukodare. I don't even know what that one was doing. He was helping to guard he was the bodyguard to the Congolese defenders, because I
Ah,
don't think he was doing any. Even his hold up play was terrible, and I know that that's what they brought him on for.
there was a particular chance that they crossed ball for him, and his nodding was so bad. It was a free nodding.
And he's so tall.
Yes.
Free nodding.
I remember a
So
similar thing. I think was it against Benin or something from a corner.
Yes, yes, yes. That he was at the edge. Yes.
so
Yeah.
ultimately, how do you want to blame the NFF for the incompetencies of those boys? Even this Victor Osimhen that we are all shouting, 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 they exhaled in his direction and pick up hamstring injury. Kilo day. So sometimes you need to wonder, people were saying, oh, it's racism that all these big clubs don't want to buy him. Maybe they have looked into this, his injury problem. We will just be here thinking it's racism. Because think about it. The 5 matches that we drew, he missed most of them now
Yep.
in the qualifier.
I think he missed all of
Then
them.
all of them safe. Then the return leg, that's the one that was important, the one in South Africa. He missed it through injury that he picked up in the match before. So when you look at these things, you can now see that it is not racism that these big clubs don't want to buy him for. Maybe they know about his injury problem. I saw the injury that supposedly the contact that led to the injury. I was like, that's what got you injured? That? On a day your country needs you to qualify, as much as we are Osimhen dependent. Man City is Haaland dependent. They won't like that.
And and
Norway is
and
Haaland dependent. Won't like that.
and looking at the bigger picture, even if you take Holland out of the equation, Man City would not be that bad. They will not be
They fit
that bad.
struggle because if you look at the goals, they fit struggle. Man, no lie give you.
But they won't be that
Even
off.
they bad small. They will struggle well. But even that, okay, yes, maybe not that bad, but they will struggle. Even that Norway, the fact that Haaland is on the pitch alone, defenders don't move anyhow now. They'll first think before they move.
And that's what Joshua said. That once Osimhen went
Yes,
off, well, Christmas has come early.
because the minute you are on the pitch, they will be careful before they move. Because if they move anyhow, they will see anyhow. So even psychologically, your presence is enough. Congo, you did not only go to bench, you wore full trousers sef to sit on the bench. People are now, maybe that's why they were fighting for their bonus now, because they knew they will not go to the World Cup. All things will be clear in the end.
So
Nobody should tell me.
should we come up with some messages and then the calf player of the year story?
Yes, let's come back with messages and CAF player of the year story, because we have to vent. Nonsense, people. All
Yeah,
of them. No, if I hear NFF is the problem, it is the Super Eagles players that are the problem. I've come again.
All right, welcome back into the second half of the locker room this Monday morning, a rainy Monday morning. Well, in VI, I can't say specifically for the mainland, but it rained here in VI. So hope you are keeping well and, of course, enjoying the show. My name is Ayokunmi Kekiriako. Welcome in. If you're just tuning in, you listen to a bit of stuff, but hey, there's still so much more for you to enjoy. Tega Supreme with me as well, taking a look at what's been going on over the weekend in the world of sports. You also get to join us. WhatsApp, YouTube, available for you. The WhatsApp number 0911 join us on YouTube at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. That is where all the behind the scenes conversations tend to happen. So you definitely need to jump on the YouTube stream. Let's take a few comments because you have a number of things to vent concerning that match today. This is from Evans Inaja, who says the team lost due to their unseriousness. Let NFF retain Eric Shell, though. Those are my thoughts. All right. Okay. Let's see what happens with Nations Cup. Felix in Mende, Maryland says, good morning, Mr. Ayokunmi and Madam Tega. Super Eagles did not disappoint me. That Super Eagles were involved in the playoff after FIFA had increased African slots to 9 is a big disgrace. The best team or the better team won last night.
End of discussion.
Emeka says, so for the second time in a row, Nigeria won't be flying its flag at the World Cup. 10 teams from Africa and the Giant of Africa won't be there. Well, 9 shall be 10th if Congo win the playoffs. The Italians didn't qualify for 2 World Cups in a row, but heads rolled during those failures, and they compensated by winning the Euros in 2020. Super Eagles should win the AFCON next year at all costs. I think the Euros just papered over the cracks. After winning the Euros 2022, they didn't qualify.
But
2020,
you see, you can
balance.
argue about whether they qualify or they did not qualify or balance. The truth of the matter is they come back with trophies. How many trophies do you come back with? I don't like excuses. You can say they're putting paper over the cracks. Maybe they are just the kind of fool that they succeed in and fail in extremes. You know, they either absolutely win it or absolutely lose it. But they come back with trophies. When last did we have AFCON? If we had
Can't say this.
AFCON recently,
I can't say
would
the
I be
same for
complaining too
Nigeria,
much?
sure.
Yes.
Because
And they even have World Cups to their names. How many
our
World
own
Cups have they won?
extremes,
3?
four actually. They won
4.
4. Yeah.
Are we their mates? If they like, they should go for the next 2 World Cups. I don't care.
I beg.
Let me see World Cup in my lifetime. Let me try.
Let me take a comment or two on YouTube. This one is
All
from
right.
Ibrahim Hassan, who says, Up Nigeria, we have failed to qualify for the World Cup, even via semi-playoffs. And
As in,
Padre says, sad to see the Super Eagles lose to Congo. With the depth of the team, they should have qualified. Didn't show enough hunger, in my opinion. Disappointed much. That depth, I don't agree with. There's no depth in that team, I beg. No depth in that team, please. Anyways, let's get back into the stories here. Let's talk about CAF awards. Moroccan Achraf Hakimi, Nigerian Victor Osimhen, and Egyptian Mohamed Salah were shortlisted on Sunday for the 2025 African Men's Player of the Year award, according to the Confederation of African Football. That's on the men's side. I know you have
all
thoughts
right. I don't
on
think
this.
that I don't think that the men's team there was too much arguments with the nominees at the end of the day, because Ashraf Hakimi had a fantastic season with PSG, even if Morocco did not do exactly what people expected them to do at the
Hmm.
AFCON. Also, Mo Salah had a great season with Liverpool at the end of the day, and it's Lord's first season. So even if he didn't do, Egypt didn't do well with at the African Cup of Nations, sorry. You can also say that, when it comes to club football, they did well. So I don't think any names on those lists is surprising. With Victor Osimhen, the truth of the matter is, ultimately, the winner on the men's side is clear. Any other winner, and if I'm Morocco, I will not host you again. People should carry your AFCON on your head. That's what I would do. But it's the women's side that there was a real problem.
Aha.
The women's side, because if you look, I mean, Rashida Tajibade was nominated. Gizain of Morocco was nominated. People's questions were, where is Esther Okoronkwo on that list?
I mean,
And it's not a far-fetched question. In the tournament, there was nobody that didn't know that she was the player that you had to watch out for. So the question is, who I want to know is who released that 3-man list. I need to go to Morocco and find out. I need to go to Egypt. That's where the CAF office is, and find out who wrote that list, because that person needs to sit down and collect some cane. There is no reason Esther Okoronkwo shouldn't have been nominated in the final 3. No reason whatsoever. And I think that's where the argument came about.
I agree 110%. I saw the tweet and I had to ask, is it April Fool's in November? Because I really couldn't understand what was going on. All right, let's get back into European qualifying and talk about Erling Haaland and Norway. They've qualified for their first World Cup since 1998 after Erling Haaland struck again in a 4-1 thumping of Italy on Sunday, which sealed the spot in next summer's finals in the US, Canada, and Mexico.
That's how strikers do. They don't pick up hamstring in the first half of an important match. They stay on.
That wasn't
I
his
don't.
fault now.
Nobody should call my name. Nobody should call my name. Nobody should call my name. Every 2 market days, you're picking up an injury. You must change your diet or change your style. You must do something to make sure that you have a longer career. You have to change something. I tell people all the time. I remember Novak Djokovic, when he started his career, he used to be sick. He would throw up on the court. There was one time they carried him on a wheelchair out of the court. What did he do? He completely changed his diet. Took up different martial arts lessons just to get his body strong. Did Pilates just to get his muscles stretched a little bit. You have to now so that you become a better athlete. And how he went on to win 24 Grand Slams, and he's still playing. He just won a tournament last week at 38. You have to change something in order to become different. So ultimately, let me say what I'm saying. You people can drag me in the comment section. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, the striker stayed on the pitch. Italy scored the first goal. They looked like they were going to get the second goal, but somehow Norway came back into this match. Erling Haaland with 2 goals, two other goals scored to make it 4-1, and they got their first World Cup ticket since 1998. 100% record, if I may add.
Exactly. Scoring goals for
It,
fun.
yeah, 100% record to get to the World Cup in a group with Italy. We couldn't come out of a group with Lesotho. So let's just see the difference now. So fantastic one for Norway, but for Italy, they'll now join, I think, 14 other countries for the playoffs to see if they can find their way on the second bus to the World Cup. They didn't go to the last World Cup, but
The last
Gattuso
two.
and him. Yeah, so Gattuso and his boys need to find a way to get to the World Cup, and they can still, that option is still available to them through the playoffs. So let's see how it fares for Italy. But like I always say, they have 4 World Cup titles. They have 4 stars. They have, yes, they recently won Euros. I don't care about their misfortune, because their misfortune is not really a misfortune. Maybe they're just taking a break from winning and let other people
Right.
win it. My own misfortune is painful because we've never even reached quarterfinal. Very painful misfortune.
Let's talk about England and Thomas Tuchel. He has warned Jude Bellingham to respect his decisions after the England midfielder showed frustration at being substituted during Sunday's 2-0 win against Albania.
Yeah, so Thomas Tuchel was trying to use that match to, feature as many players as possible. He even saw Jared Bowen playing in that match. It was not the match for the big boys. However, because of Jude Bellingham's injury and his recovery timing rather, it's been a struggle for him to get a shirt on the England team, and he showed that frustration. I don't think I would try down with Thomas Tuchel. Really, Thomas Tuchel is not the guy. There's some people that care. Thomas Tuchel is not one of them, and so he showed this frustration. And Thomas Tuchel can interpret that to be indiscipline. And when it's time to pick his final list, you will not make it. People will shout, people will raise their voices, but Thomas Tuchel will do what Thomas Tuchel will do. So England had already qualified, 100% record at the time. Well, now it's completely 100% record because they won this match by 2-0. But yes, the question has always been for Thomas Tuchel, it's not about England qualifying for the World Cup. The question is, which players will he take and which will he leave? Because at this point in time, there are so many players. He has option A, B, and maybe half of C. And so the question is, who is your best 23 of all the players at your disposal? And sometimes fit may be preferable over talent in picking that squad. And that's why Jude Bellingham was struggling, and that's why he's clearly frustrated.
Well, he needs to keep his head down and do what he needs to do and be in the manager's good books, or else.
All right, so we can't take any more stories. Let's just take some messages and wrap up. Yeah.
All right, messages. This is Shagun from Mina. All the way. Shagun, good morning to you. He says, good morning, guys. I agree with Tega, but I think the NFF has their own share of the blame for their administrative incompetence during the World Cup qualifiers. Italy did not qualify for the last 2 World Cups. I may not even qualify for the next, and heavens did not fall. Our players slept throughout the World Cup qualifiers, but when they woke up, it was already too late. You just have to earn your place at the Mondial. It is just so unfortunate. Yes, indeed. All right, this is from Adinik Adile, who says, I'm not even surprised by the Eagles' inability to qualify. I didn't expect success from a bunch of people who decided to strike in the midst of a serious qualifier. They need to secure their future. There's life after qualifiers.
Ayokunmi for $3,500. How much do they pay in a week? How much they earn a week in their club? So again, when you look at the fee that in fact, let me take that. Let's read the messages.
I first that says, so what Tega is saying in essence that Italy is a 4-star general with integrity. Let Nigeria not talk when they are talking. Ewa Niniru says, on the other side, Eric Schell actually said during his post-match press conference that the Congolese goalkeeper was doing some voodoo during the penalty shootout. My chest. On the other side of Europe, Erling super goal scorer Haaland practically dragged Norway to qualify for the 2026 World Cup, scoring 11 goals in consecutive World Cup qualifying matches. Super striker Gidi. All right, this is Ebenezer from Animasha who says, shame on the Super Eagles, giant of Africa. My foot. Football is all about performance, not reputation. Please go back home and do your homework in preparation for 2030. Chicken, and that one is not even sure. Michael says, I totally blame the players for their own failure. There was no zeal. Also, our style of play has not changed. We have not evolved. I could see Osimhen asking for the ball to be played severally to him. He was not serviced. He was frustrated. Even if you depend on him, you still don't know how to utilize him. Huh. All right, let me go to YouTube and see if I can take a couple before we wrap it up. This is Uchinawoko who says, Nigeria were totally outclassed by DRC. A very sad watch. Happy for Sinner. Italy totally horrible. I can't wait for league football to resume. Better for Nigeria to leave now than heartbreak in the World Cup. No, go there and let them break the hearts. At least you are there already. And
Ayokunmi, I'm with you. Let them get there and play their
let,
3 matches.
and come simple, but at least you know I was there. Simple. El Gadirogba says, on the positive side, the Super Eagles helped me save my money. They just spoiled my mood, Jerry. Good morning, guys. Okay, you can do give away for everybody. I mean, just to make us feel good. I mean, anyways, Tega, we need to wrap it up.
All right. Thank you so much for sending your messages via WhatsApp. Thank you for streaming on YouTube. And thank you for tuning into Smooth 98.1 FM. Let's remember, regardless of the fact that the Super Eagles did not qualify for the World Cup, you can go out there and excel where they failed. So go out there and have a fantastic week. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Tega, so very much. Looking forward to seeing you on Wednesday. And thank you all so much for all your messages. Apologies for the ones that I could not take. Keep it tuned to the Smooth Breakfast. Of course, you know the show goes on 9 o'clock. A conversation is coming up on Lagos Talks, a very important and interesting one as well. My name is Ayokunmi. Don't go anywhere.